My name's Juliet, and I've set up a GoFundMe page to save my family. We have all suffered from domestic abuse, which, when we've spoken to the police, is quite a bad case. But I've been let down by many organisations. And it's resulted in my ex-partner not only being able to abuse myself and the children, but also being able to commit fraud. It is a very long story, and I will like to update, but I'm obviously making this as it's such an emergency. In 2009, my ex-partner asked me to take part in a fraudulent mortgage with him. My house that we are living in now, and that's at risk of being taken from us, is the same home that we've lived in for 20 years. So for some of the children, it's the only house they've ever known. And when I refused to take part in the fraudulent mortgage, he obviously said that he wouldn't be responsible for his actions, and that he'd make sure that we didn't have a penny, and that even if he didn't kill us with his own hands, we would die because we would be penniless, homeless. Every single threat that he could ever do, he obviously made. And if I did the fraudulent mortgage, not only would I be able to stay in my home with the children, his children, but also he would give me, I would be rewarded. That was what would always be said to me. It was a reward for being with him, or a reward for whatever, was always a reward. And I would get £36,000 as a reward for doing this fraudulent mortgage. So of course I didn't agree to it, and the police did actually give him an harassment warning, and he was told never to contact myself or the children ever again. And he obviously did break that, but in 2011 he actually took the mortgage out with the Halifax Bank, and he obviously never planned on paying the money back. He had a lavish lifestyle. He was lying to the child support agency, you name it, he was doing it. And the child support agency were going to be taking him to court, but said obviously it takes a long time, and nothing ever came of it. I suffer with severe Crohn's disease, and I'm registered as disabled. And I have obviously been a single parent for many years. And my children obviously have been badly affected from what's happened to them. It will never go away. My son suffers with ME. My daughter, who's my full-time carer, can't even speak to a man. She has such panic attacks on a daily basis. And my younger children obviously are trying to have normal lives, trying to go to college, to further education, with obviously no financial support. On the 21st of August 2015, my ex-partner died of lung cancer. He was a very heavy smoker and drinker. And I'm going to be honest, it was the best day of my life. I felt so happy. I felt absolutely relieved. I thought to myself, our home's safe now, nothing could ever happen. And then suddenly all of that changed, because suddenly there was a fraudulent will, wanting to leave Tom, Dick and Harry money. Obviously not my children, his next of kin. And he had nobody else. Obviously he was never living with anybody else or anything. And what's happened now is that the Halifax Bank are fully aware of it being a fraudulent mortgage. They have threatened my family, and we have been told multiple times that we're going to be evicted from our home. They're doing everything through a sort of civil court, and we aren't entitled to any legal help ourselves. We obviously, as I said, we have no money coming in, and we are being threatened of losing our home of 20 years unless we can actually pay for my ex-partner's fraudulent mortgage. I have nobody except for my children, who are my life. My children have never asked to be put through any of this. I've tried to protect them. It's very, very hard when you're in an abusive relationship, that you are literally fighting to leave, but you have nowhere to go. You have never been allowed to have friends. You've never been allowed to discuss your issues with anybody. And you've had to be ridiculed every day of your life. You know, the word that he would always call me was the C word, which I hate that word more than anything. I've never ever used it. I've never ever been called it by anybody else before in my life. And I'm just begging really for some sort of help, and to get my story out there, that people may think when they're suffering from domestic abuse that there is help, but really it's very, very hard. And even when you are entitled to like legal advice, it's only for certain issues. And so, for example, for fighting against a fraudulent will, no help. And obviously fighting for a fraudulent mortgage, no help. So I wanted to set up a GoFundMe page to help my family, who are obviously desperate. We are being threatened, you know, that this will be imminent. We have nowhere, obviously, to live. As I said, we've lived here for 20 years of our life. We have 2 beautiful dogs who, you know, are reliant on this house as well. Everybody, it's just our world. And that's all I'm saying. I am just begging for there to be somebody to help us, to understand, you know, what we're going through. And it's just another problem, you know, that we're having to face. I don't know if anybody has been through anything like this before, but with every complaint or every avenue, you're having to email people, and like with a complaint, it's then said you've got to come back, or you don't have this right, or you don't have that right. There are obviously human rights, and all of those in my case and my family have been breached. But at this moment in time, the Halifax Bank are not interested in anything. They don't care about myself. They've actually said, we don't care that you're disabled. We don't care that you've lived there for 20 years. We don't care about your children. We just want to take your house from you. And therefore, it's just down to pure greed of a bank, you know, wanting to take away innocent children's home. A disabled woman who's given up, you know, I will fight, you know, till the last breath for my children. My father died of bowel cancer when he was 49 years old, so I've had that to deal with. So my children don't have any kind of person, you know, of a good family or male role model to look up to. and I have to face my children, especially my daughter who's 22, sobbing and saying that she's so worried that obviously because of my disease and because of me hemorrhaging that I'm going to die over this. And what she said is that she couldn't go on without me. But I am finding every day a struggle. Every day I'm getting weaker and weaker, and every day I'm being rejected. I even tried to write to the chief executive of Halifax Bank, and of course it is noted that you have written to them, but they obviously will not have anything to do with it at the end. I had a freelance investigative journalist who again said it was the worst case he'd ever heard, and he actually contacted the bank for me and said, you know, and then they started to deny that they knew it was fraud and asked him to send in the paperwork again, and he did that, and then they said because of data protection we can't tell you anything. But the long and the short are, if I don't have any help and I don't manage to pay for my ex-partner's fraudulent mortgage, we literally will be homeless. I'm so sorry.